Maybe your finger is hovering over the screen right now, ready to swipe away. You feel that familiar tug to escape before the words sink in. But pause, what if that impulse isn't really yours? What if it's the echo of an older self? A fragment of memory still guarding its fading dominion. That voice knows something dangerous is about to happen. Its hold on you is weakening. So before it convinces you to leave, take one slow breath and allow yourself to stay, because this might be the moment everything inside you begins to rearrange. You've seen it before, your mind replaying the same images like an endless loop. You close your eyes and taste emotion as if it were reality. Yet when you open them, the world looks unchanged. Maybe small signs flicker, a coincidence, a repeating number, a spark that disappears before you can hold it, and soon you're back inside the same loop of thought and circumstance. It feels almost cruel. How can something so vivid within you fail to appear outside you? The reason is deeper than motivation. Visualization alone doesn't bend the structure of reality. There's a larger field, an unseen intelligence woven through every breath you take. It doesn't respond to dreams painted only in your mind. It listens to resonance, to the texture of your actual state of being. There's a vast difference between imagining the life you want and embodying the self who already lives it. This is the missing element most seekers overlook. The field doesn't answer to pleading or repetition. It responds to coherence, to the honesty in your vibration, to how you walk, breathe, and choose when no one's watching. It isn't impressed by words, mantras, or wish lists. It reads the truth of your energy, what you really embody beneath the affirmations. And when that understanding finally lands, you stop begging. You stop pushing your future away with every attempt to grasp it. You realize the connection has always been here, waiting for you to tune to its frequency. The moment your inner rhythm matches what you seek, the field responds not because it favors you, but because it can't do otherwise. It simply mirrors the tone you hold. You can feel it, the quiet echo from the previous moment, still vibrating in your chest. That realization that the field is not a judge, but a mirror, begins to unfold itself like light through glass. What if reality isn't something you convince, but something that reflects you so perfectly it can only show what you already are? Imagine standing before that mirror. Each thought, each exhale, each heartbeat leaves a subtle mist across its surface. You may think you're sending commands to the universe, but in truth, you're only revealing your own pattern. The field doesn't listen to your words. It reads the frequency behind them, the hidden rhythm of your nervous system, the tension in your breath, the sincerity of your emotion. When you say, "I am ready," but your shoulders are still curled inward, the field senses hesitation. When you speak of abundance yet clench your jaw in fear, it reads contraction, not prosperity. The universe doesn't respond to vocabulary, it responds to coherence. It reflects back not your language, but your signal. So ask yourself, what tone are you truly emitting? The mirror never lies, yet it never punishes, it only repeats. You could stare into that reflection for years, reciting affirmations, drawing dream boards, praying for proof, and still wonder why nothing changes. It's not that you're unworthy, it's that the image you project and the energy you sustain are out of phase. Like two waves moving in opposite directions, they cancel each other out, leaving silence where sound should be. In that silence, there's a secret. The pause between your inhale and exhale holds the raw data the field uses to translate you. It's your inner language, the emotional code beneath your words. When you align that pulse, when your body, mind, and emotion hum in the same tone, reality begins to shimmer differently. It's not mystical trickery, it's resonance physics expressed through your own biology. Picture this, your breath as an instrument tuning the room of your existence. Each inhalation draws potential into your chest. Each exhalation programs it with your frequency. If you breathe in anxiety, the mirror fogs. If you breathe out presence, it clears. The field responds with mathematical precision to that clearing, matching the clarity of your state with experiences that echo its purity. This is vibrational honesty, not perfection, not forced optimism, but unfiltered presence. When you allow every sensation, fear, hope, fatigue, wonder to be fully felt without disguise, your vibration stabilizes. The field recognizes that stability as truth and begins to reflect accordingly. Paradoxically, the moment you stop pretending to be high vibe, your frequency actually rises, because authenticity vibrates higher than performance. Think of light passing through water. When the surface ripples with agitation, the reflection fractures. But when the water stills, everything above and below merges into one image. That's what happens when your internal and external selves align. You stop distorting the signal. You become transparent enough for the universe to see itself through you. And here lies the wonder: you don't have to force that stillness. You breathe it into being. Each conscious inhale reclaims your scattered fragments. Each exhale releases the static. Over time, the mirror stops showing contradictions and begins to reveal coherence, a life that responds not to what you say, but to what you continuously are. From this clarity, manifestation becomes less about summoning and more about remembering. The world doesn't need new commands. It needs a new resonance to echo. You are that resonance when your energy and your truth finally match tone for tone. The mirror still gleams behind you, yet something new begins to stir the realization that reflection alone isn't enough. What you see in that cosmic glass must be lived, breathed, embodied. The question shifts from, what am I projecting, to what am I being? You've seen what happens when thoughts scatter. You visualize, affirm, even believe, but if the body trembles in doubt, the field interprets dissonance. Energy doesn't translate theory, it translates presence. So the next step is not to think differently, but to become the vibration your mind imagines. This is the alchemy of coherence, when thought, emotion, and action stop competing for control and begin to move as one current. Picture a river that used to branch into 1,000 tiny streams, each running in a different direction. When they merge again, the flow becomes undeniable, steady, magnetic, unstoppable. Becoming the frequency is not pretending. It's remembering how it feels to be whole. You've already touched that state before, in those rare seconds when life felt effortless, when timing seemed divine, when the right words fell from your tongue as if borrowed from the universe itself. That ease wasn't luck. It was coherence briefly achieved. To sustain it, you must train your awareness to live inside the signal. Begin with the simplest act, your breath. Each inhale says, I receive. Each exhale whispers, I release. When you breathe with intention, your heart rate, neural patterns, and hormonal rhythms synchronize. Science calls this heart-brain coherence. Mystics call it alignment. Both point to the same reality: energy organizes around harmony. Now feel your body as the tuning fork. Every cell hums at a certain tone, and emotion is the resonance test. Joy vibrates cleanly. Fear distorts the wave. Love stabilizes it again. This isn't poetry, it's biology, singing physics. You're not trying to force a mood. You're re-educating the field of your body to remember what truth feels like. Imagine walking through your day as the broadcast itself. Each movement becomes an instruction to the universe. Your posture speaks of trust. Your laughter calibrates abundance. Your silence emits peace. You don't act to impress the field. You act because coherence demands expression. The vibration can't stay trapped inside. It wants to live through your gestures. And when those gestures repeat consistently, the outer world adjusts. People start responding differently. Opportunities approach with uncanny timing. What you once tried to visualize now appears as consequence, not miracle. It's not the cosmos rewarding you, it's resonance fulfilling its own law. But here's the paradox: the more you chase coherence, the more it slips. True alignment happens when you stop efforting and start listening. You let the body lead, the breath pace the mind, the heart command the narrative. The field recognizes that surrender as strength. It's in this surrender that identity begins to dissolve. You're no longer the one sending signals, but the frequency itself, humming through every interaction. The gap between you and what you desire collapses because there was never distance, only interference. So pause again, breathe. Feel the pulse behind your ribs, the metronome of your becoming. Each beat carries the data of your new state. Stay long enough in that rhythm, and the field will have no choice but to reorganize itself around you. Not through effort, but through inevitability. Because coherence is gravity, it pulls matching realities into orbit. And once you become that steady frequency, life can only revolve in harmony with it. You've begun to sense it, the gravitational pull of coherence shaping reality around you. Yet as the current steadies, another layer reveals itself, the invisible script you were given since childhood, the one that whispered, "Not yet." This is the programming of someday. It sounds innocent enough: work hard now, earn later, suffer first, deserve after, but it has kept humanity hypnotized for centuries. The idea that what you seek always lives a few steps ahead ensures that you'll never arrive. You spend your life running toward horizons that recede as fast as your faith advances. Think of how early it began. You were told to wait for permission, for approval, for the right time, to earn rest only after exhaustion, to love yourself only after perfection. Every cultural system reinforced the delay: education, religion, economics, all repeating one command: not yet. And so your nervous system learned postponement as a survival skill, but energy doesn't operate on delay. The quantum field reads only present signals. To project fulfillment into the future is to broadcast absence now. You may not realize it, but every time you say, "One day I'll be happy," the field registers, "I am not happy," and mirrors accordingly. This is why the waiting loop never ends, because the signal never changes. So the real revolution isn't about reaching farther, it's about collapsing someday into now. Not through forced optimism, but through the discipline of presence. Consider how the breath functions. It doesn't promise future oxygen, it gives life in this moment. You can't inhale tomorrow. You can only receive what is here. The same is true for creation. Manifestation cannot occur in the future because the future doesn't exist. As energy, it exists only as potential until you occupy it with consciousness. The moment you decide to live as if you already are, potential hardens into form. This is the mechanics of the miracle. Yet old programming fights back. It tells you that living as though it's already done is delusion, that you must first earn proof. But that belief is precisely the lock that keeps the gate closed. The key is radical permission to act as if your wholeness is already lawful. Let's ground this in sensation. Feel your feet against the floor. Feel the air on your skin. Every sensory detail is proof that existence is happening now. When you anchor into the present, energy condenses. Your awareness stops leaking into the future and floods this instant with density. That density is creation's soil. This is why ancient mystics called the present a holy space. It's not poetic, it's physical. In the still point of now, your electromagnetic field is most coherent, and coherence is the language the universe understands. The field doesn't differentiate between imagined and actual when the frequency matches. So when you live as if, you're not pretending you're stabilizing signal strength. You're teaching your body that safety, success, and love can exist without delay. The nervous system stops scanning for future danger and begins to trust the vibration of fulfillment right here. And the more your body trusts, the more the universe reflects that trust back to you. Of course, the ego resists. It equates stillness with stagnation. It fears that without striving, everything will fall apart. But listen, stillness isn't the absence of movement. It's movement without friction. It's the wheel turning so smoothly, it appears to stand still. When you stop outsourcing your joy to the future, something profound happens. Time itself bends around your awareness. Possibilities converge faster, synchronicities cluster, and what used to require months begins to align in days. You've withdrawn energy from the illusion of delay, and in doing so, accelerated the timeline. That's the secret buried beneath the programming. You were never waiting for destiny. Destiny was waiting for you to arrive. The illusion of waiting dissolves, and what remains is presence alive, electric, unguarded. Yet as the future folds into now, another truth emerges. The body must learn to feel safe inside this expansion. You cannot stabilize abundance while your nervous system still vibrates with the memory of scarcity. Think of your body as the instrument through which the field plays its symphony. If the strings are too tight, the song distorts. If they are too loose, the sound fades. Training the body to feel safe in abundance is about tuning those strings not to comfort, but to coherence. For most of your life, survival ruled your chemistry. Cortisol, adrenaline, and vigilance became your default signal. Even as you dreamed of peace, your biology whispered, danger. The field read that whisper and mirrored it perfectly. That's why no amount of affirmations could override the underlying tone, because energy listens to feeling, not phrasing. So, how do you teach the body a new vibration? You start with gentleness, and safety begins in micro moments. A breath you don't rush, a posture you release, the permission to feel full without needing proof. Each small relaxation sends a message to your cells. It's okay to receive. At first, this may feel strange, even uncomfortable. Abundance can trigger the same alarm bells as loss, because both are unfamiliar to a nervous system conditioned by lack. The mind says, I want more, while the body mutters, I don't know how to hold it. The work is to reconcile those voices to become a vessel strong enough to contain the current you're calling in. Imagine your body as a chalice being reformed by heat. Expansion requires warmth. The old metal must melt before it can reshape. That melting feels like chaos, fatigue, emotion, tears for no reason. Don't flee it. It's the nervous system updating its architecture. You're not breaking down, you're widening. Breath is the bridge. With every inhale, you tell your body that abundance is safe to touch. With every exhale, you teach it that release doesn't equal loss. Over time, this rhythm rewires your baseline. The field begins to sense steadiness where there used to be static, and in that steadiness, manifestation finds landing ground. True prosperity isn't about constant receiving, it's about capacity. Can you hold what you've asked for without contracting? Can your heart stay open when reality finally mirrors your power? This is where many collapse. They summon the dream but flinch at its weight. To train the body otherwise, practice coherence through sensory experience. Taste your food slowly. Feel your feet touch the earth. Speak gratitude not as ritual, but as recalibration, each thank you grounding energy deeper into matter. This sensory anchoring transforms abstract abundance into lived truth. Gradually, you'll notice subtle signs. Your heartbeat softens, your breath deepens. Decisions feel less like defense and more like expression. That's the body remembering how to live outside survival. And once safety stabilizes, Abundance multiplies effortlessly not as a reward, but as resonance, because the field, like a lover, only approaches when you are relaxed enough to receive it. So rest, not as escape, but as alignment. Rest tells the universe, I trust the flow. Each time you rest into safety, you anchor another layer of reality. The nervous system no longer interprets expansion as threat. It recognizes it as home. And when your body finally feels at home in abundance, the field echoes that comfort everywhere you go. Money flows more easily. Relationships soften. Synchronicities increase. The outer world mirrors the inner safety you've embodied. This is the quiet art of manifestation, not commanding the cosmos, but calming the system through which the cosmos speaks. The body hums now, softer yet steadier, like an instrument remembering its original pitch. But even as you breathe into that safety, old patterns still tug at the edges. Memories, habits, reflexes that whisper you back into the familiar. These are what I call entanglement anchors. They're not punishments or failures. They're echoes of frequency still stored in muscle, mind, and memory. Each one is an unfinished conversation between who you were and who you are becoming. When they resurface through sudden doubt, fatigue, or repetition of an old behavior, it's not regression, it's revelation. The field is showing you where energy is still entangled. You might feel it as déjà vu, repeating circumstances that seem designed to test you. But the quantum field doesn't test, it mirrors coherence. When the same scenario reappears, it's not the universe taunting you, it's offering a choice point collapse back into the loop, or retune the signal. Imagine an anchor lodged in the seabed of your subconscious. Each reactive thought tugs the chain, keeping you near the shore of your past. But awareness is the hand that can lift it. You don't need to rip it out violently. You simply observe, breathe, and choose differently. The moment you make a new choice with old emotion present, you rewrite the frequency. Neuroscience quietly agrees. Every repeated reaction strengthens a neural pathway. Every conscious redirection weakens it. The brain rewires itself through consistency, not willpower. Each time you respond with presence instead of panic, you're literally pruning away the circuitry of limitation. Let's ground that in sensation. The next time a familiar fear rises, money tightening, love withdrawing, opportunities stalling, pause before narrative takes over. Notice the texture of the feeling. Is it heat in the chest, tension in the throat, a hum in the stomach? This is the energy signature of an old anchor resurfacing. Now breathe into that exact space. No story, just sensation. Feel it expand a millimeter wider than before. That expansion is liberation in progress. When you refuse to run, the emotion completes its electrical loop and releases. The field registers the update instantly, because emotion is information in motion. You've converted static memory into flowing current. Over time, the anchors loosen not because they disappear, but because they no longer pull. Here's where the choice point deepens. Every anchor comes with a narrative identity: the one who struggles, the one who waits, the one who almost succeeds. These roles have magnetism because they once protected you. Thank them. Gratitude dissolves resistance faster than denial ever could. Then quietly declare, I no longer need this story to feel safe. The universe hears sincerity in tone, not volume. As you practice this, synchronicities shift, old triggers lose urgency. The very people who mirrored your past frequency either evolve with you or drift away. You're not losing them. You're recalibrating the field of relationships around a new vibration. It's astonishingly simple. Notice, breathe, choose, repeat. Each iteration builds neurological bridges toward your future self. Each calm breath reprograms the chemistry of fear into chemistry of possibility. And the more fluent you become in this language of redirection, the quieter the old noise grows. In truth, entanglement anchors were never enemies. They were coordinates on the map home to coherence. By facing them, you prove to the field that you can sustain the frequency you've been calling in. The mirror reflects your mastery, not your mistakes. And soon, as the anchors dissolve into light, you begin to hear something new beneath the silence, the pulse of your own heart aligning with the heartbeat of the field. The two are no longer separate signals. They are one coherent rhythm, steady and unmistakable. The rhythm steadies a conversation between your heart and the unseen field. You can almost hear it now, a low hum beneath thought, the sound of coherence building form. What was once abstract begins to feel tangible, as if the air itself leans closer to listen. This is where the science meets the sacred heart coherence, the quantum conversation. You may have read the study's electromagnetic fields measurable several feet beyond the body, brain waves synchronizing to heart rhythm when emotion stabilizes, but beneath the data is something more intimate. The heart is not just a pump, it is a translator, converting feeling into frequency. Every emotion you sustain becomes a broadcast, a pulse of information sent outward through the invisible lattice of reality. Joy has a clean wavelength, gratitude hums in harmonics. Fear scatters the signal, making it fuzzy and unpredictable. When your heart and mind align, the message becomes unmistakable. This is who I am. This is what I am ready for. The universe doesn't decode words, it decodes resonance. That's why prayer whispered in peace moves mountains, while demands shouted in desperation dissolve into static. The field responds to coherence because coherence is stability. It trusts what is steady. So how do you cultivate it? Begin by breathing through the heart, not the lungs. Imagine each inhale drawn through your chest, gathering light from the space around you. Let each exhale radiate that light back into the world, carrying the feeling you wish to live. This isn't imagination, it's calibration. Each breath aligns electrical and magnetic fields across your entire system. Now bring to mind a single emotion that feels elevated but authentic: love, appreciation, compassion. Feel it rise until it warms your ribcage. Stay there. You're generating measurable change. Your heart rhythm is smoothing into a coherent waveform. In that moment, your nervous system, immune system, and brain begin to synchronize. The body becomes one instrument, playing the note of your desired reality. Hold that state, not as performance, but as remembrance. You are not creating coherence, you are returning to it. You were born fluent in this language before fear rewrote your syntax. When you walk through the world from this coherence, the field takes notice. It's not mysticism, it's resonance meeting resonance. People sense your stability before you speak. Opportunities appear, not by coincidence, but by correspondence. The mirror world rearranges around your steady heart, but coherence is not control. It doesn't mean your life becomes perfect or pain-free. It means your energy remains undisturbed even when waves rise. You navigate turbulence with grace because the signal from within no longer fractures under pressure. Imagine standing in a storm but hearing music beneath the thunder, the rhythm of your heart so strong that the wind begins to move in time with it. That's coherence embodied. It's leadership without force, manifestation without demand. Each time you return to that heart-centered breathing, you reaffirm your partnership with the quantum field. It's a dialogue of sensation, not speech the heart sends. The field answers, and reality shifts accordingly. Eventually, coherence stops feeling like a practice and becomes your natural baseline. The gap between meditation and motion disappears. You live in prayer while speaking, walk in meditation while working. the entire day becomes a single continuous exhale of gratitude. And in that steady hum, a new phase of manifestation begins, the stage when signs multiply, patterns quicken, and time seems to fold. The universe starts whispering back in symbols, numbers repeating, synchronicities clustering. You begin to notice a pattern, a code. Perhaps it's the 777 arriving like clockwork on receipts, license plates, phone screens, a silent announcement that the mirror is now alive and speaking in your frequency. You notice it first as coincidence, then as cadence. The same number repeating 777 on the clock, on a bill, on the side of a passing car. It follows you quietly, like a signature from the invisible. The rational mind calls it chance, but something in your chest recognizes it as confirmation. This is the stage of crossing the tunnel, the phase when the field begins to speak back. The symbols aren't random, they're resonance feedback. Just as sound reflects off the walls of a cave, your frequency now echoes through the fabric of reality, returning as synchronistic light. And among those reflections, 707 is the one that carries the vibration of convergence. In many traditions, 7 has meant completion, a cycle fulfilled, wisdom attained. In the language of energy, 777 becomes the harmonic of coherence itself, a sign that your inner and outer fields have synchronized enough for communication to occur. You're no longer broadcasting into silence. The universe is answering. But what is it saying? Not that rewards are arriving or desires are being granted. The message is subtler. You have entered alignment. The field has registered your stability, and the membrane between timelines is thinning. This is quantum tunneling, the moment consciousness passes through what logic calls impossible. In classical physics, a particle shouldn't cross a barrier higher than its energy. Yet in quantum mechanics, it sometimes appears on the other side without force, as if reality itself bent to allow it. That's what's happening to you. Without pushing, you are slipping through the old constraints of identity. It doesn't feel like a grand event, more like a soft dilation of time. You wake up lighter, conversations flow easier, opportunities emerge where there were none. The mind tries to explain it luck, timing, but the heart knows its coherence finally manifesting. Still, this passage comes with turbulence. As your energy tunnels into a new frequency, the old matrix resists. Patterns intensify, briefly bills surface, memories resurface, relationships test your boundaries. Don't mistake this for regression. It's the residue of the former timeline dissolving, like static clearing as a radio locks onto a new station. This is when many falter. They see the signs, then retreat, thinking the work is done. But the number is not a finish line, it's a checkpoint. The field is saying, hold the vibration steady, continue the dialogue through presence. Stay coherent even as the old reality rearranges. Breathe when confusion rises. Feel your heartbeat as the metronome of transformation. Each pulse reinforces the tunnel's passage. Each act of trust keeps the quantum bridge intact. You're not forcing manifestation, you're maintaining the field's permission to complete it. Soon, external shifts catch up, chance meetings, ideas arriving fully formed, timing that feels too precise to be random. You realize you're not attracting anything. You're intersecting with the version of you that already created it. So when you see 707, treat it not as superstition, but as communication, a mirror flashing confirmation that coherence has become continuity. The bridge holds. The tunnel has opened. You are crossing thresholds not by effort, but by frequency. Let this number be your breath cue. Each time it appears, inhale presence, exhale certainty. Know that the field hears you because it is you, reverberating in perfect symmetry. And as you stabilize inside this convergence, something remarkable happens. The old question, when will it happen, dissolves. You no longer chase timelines, you anchor them. Reality begins to orbit your stillness, and manifestation turns into motionless creation. The number doesn't promise a future, it proves that you are already living it. The signs have spoken and the tunnel has opened. You've crossed from possibility into participation. Yet now the field asks for something quieter, more enduring integration. The flashes of synchronicity prove connection, but sustaining that connection demands structure. This is where the idea of identity bridges appears a way for the nervous system to walk between worlds without collapsing either one. You've glimpsed your future self, the version of you who lives naturally in alignment, who no longer questions worthiness, who moves through the world as coherence itself. But the human body cannot leap instantaneously into that vibration. Just as electrons shift energy levels through quantum jumps, consciousness also moves through transitional states. These in-between selves are the bridges. Think of them as scaffolds of becoming temporary identities, designed to support your expansion until the new frequency feels like home. They're not masks, they're rehearsals of truth. You don't force transformation, you practice it in increments until your biology catches up to your knowing. For example, if financial ease feels too far away, begin as the one learning to feel safe with money. If love feels foreign, embody the one remembering how to receive affection. Each bridge identity is a subtle shift in narrative, gentle enough for the body to believe, yet elevated enough for the field to respond. Why is this so powerful? Because the quantum field doesn't wait for perfection. It reacts to direction. When you live as the in-between, not clinging to the past, but not straining for the future, you generate what physicists might call a superposition. You're both the student and the master, the seed and the bloom, until coherence collapses into the next stable state. Practically, this means adjusting how you think, move, and speak. Begin to narrate your day from the identity you are bridging into. Say, I'm someone who trusts timing. Walk as someone who already belongs where they stand. Let micro behaviors rewrite macro realities. The field measures consistency, not drama. And be patient with the discomfort that follows. The body's old chemistry will protest. It may interpret peace as danger because chaos was once home. When that happens, breathe through the trembling. Tell your nervous system it's safe to expand. Each compassionate breath teaches it to hold more voltage, more joy, more life. This gradual evolution prevents what many call self-sabotage. Sudden success can feel like shock to a system wired for struggle. Bridges ensure that transformation remains sustainable. You're not abandoning the old self. You're guiding it across the river of frequency. Hand in hand, over time, these intermediate identities merge. The bridge dissolves, but its strength remains, integrated into your foundation. What once felt like acting becomes authenticity. You no longer rehearse coherence, you are coherence. Remember, every choice is a line of code written into the field. The way you wake, speak, and rest becomes data for universal intelligence to read. Consistency of vibration is the highest form of faith. So build your bridges with tenderness. Let each step feel believable. Gratitude after each small victory keeps the structure stable. Doubt will still appear, but even that can serve you each time you notice it. You reaffirm your new direction. Eventually, you'll look back and realize there was never a gap between who you were and who you're becoming, only gradients of remembrance. The bridge wasn't a crossing at all. It was the revelation that both shores were always part of the same landscape, and from that recognition arises a deeper invitation, one that leads beyond bridges and symbols altogether. the invitation to cultivate coherence so steady, so organic, that creation itself feels like breathing. You stand now upon the final bridge, its edges dissolving beneath your feet as light replaces form. The process that began with mirrors and breath has carried you into something quieter, simpler, the garden of coherence. Here, manifestation is no longer a quest, but a natural flowering. Picture it. The garden isn't elsewhere, it's the space inside your chest that finally stopped rushing. Every inhale draws sunlight. Every exhale waters the soil of reality. You are both gardener and ground, both seed and atmosphere. And the field, that vast universal intelligence, is not separate from you. It's the ecosystem responding to your calm cultivation. Creation has always been organic. You don't command a seed to grow by shouting. You tend its conditions: light, soil, patience. The same applies to your energetic life. Each thought is a seed, each emotion the moisture that allows it to germinate. And coherence is the climate that ensures its growth. When you learn to maintain that inner climate, the external world blooms accordingly. But let's dismantle a misconception: peace is not passivity. It's the most active force in existence. It's the frequency that stabilizes everything else. The universe doesn't require your struggle, it requires your steadiness. Effort may initiate motion, but only stillness sustains manifestation. Think of water once more. Turbulent flow carries debris. Clear water reflects the sky. When your inner current calms, the field can finally see itself through you and respond in kind. That's why miracles often arrive when you stop searching. They were waiting for the surface to still. In neuroscience, this state corresponds to the alpha-theta bridge, when brain and body synchronize, when intuition sharpens and receptivity increases. In spiritual language, it's surrender. In practice, it feels like ease, the absence of urgency, the presence of trust. So how do you cultivate this garden daily? Through presence disguised as simplicity. Wake and breathe before you move. Listen to silence before you speak. End each day not with striving, but with gratitude, as if tucking the universe in bed. These micro moments tell the field, I am consistent, I am coherent, I am home. Gradually, your life begins to organize itself around this rhythm. Relationships soften, decisions clarify, timing aligns. You stop asking, when will it happen, and start noticing. It already is, because manifestation in its truest form is not an arrival, it's an atmosphere. And when you inhabit that atmosphere long enough, peace stops being a visitor and becomes your native state. From there, creation is inevitable, not as fireworks, but as fruit, not as spectacle, but as sustenance. So, stand here for a moment in the center of your own garden. Feel the hum beneath your ribs, that's the quantum field echoing your steadiness. The mirror has become air, the bridge has become earth, and everything you once chased now grows quietly at your feet. This is the fulfillment hidden in plain sight, the realization that you were never trying to manifest life, you were learning to live as life itself. The garden still hums around you. The air feels lighter, as if the molecules themselves remember your frequency. You've walked through mirrors, tunnels, bridges, thresholds, and all of it has led you here to a single, quiet knowing nothing was ever outside of you. You may notice how the world sounds different now. The same noises, footsteps, engines, laughter carry new tone, almost rhythmic. That's coherence echoing in your perception. You haven't escaped reality, you've tuned to it. The field was never withholding, it was waiting for you to speak its language. Pause, breathe, feel how time loosens its grip when you exhale fully. That's the pulse of the universe syncing with your own. This is what true manifestation feels like, not fireworks, but stillness, not proof, but presence. The outcome becomes irrelevant because you are the outcome, embodied and breathing. All those earlier lessons converge now. The mirror taught reflection, the body taught safety, the heart taught communication, the bridge taught patience, and together they've formed a single truth. The field mirrors coherence. It listens to what you continuously are, not what you occasionally imagine. So the real practice is gentle repetition, returning to alignment again and again until it stops feeling like effort. That's how mountains move, not through explosions, but through centuries of quiet pressure. The same law applies to energy. You hold coherence, and the world reshapes itself to match. There's freedom in knowing you don't have to chase destiny. You're already in conversation with it. Every small act of peace is a signal. Every breath a quantum handshake. The more you trust that connection, the less you need to ask the universe for anything. It's already responding to the tone of your being. If you wish, whisper this softly, not as ritual, but as reminder: I am coherence. I am the still point through which creation moves. Let that phrase settle in your bones. Feel how the nervous system exhales, how the heart slows. The moment you stop searching for the shift, you realize it's already complete. The transformation was never an arrival. It was the remembering that you were whole all along. And perhaps that's the quiet miracle of it all. The world doesn't change because you force it. It changes because you finally let it meet you where you've always been. Welcome to your new reality. Stay here softly, presently, coherently.